for our marriage.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how's it feel being an author now?
Man, I could write a book on the process of how to write a book, because I went through everything that you could possibly think of, and then finally it came out. So it's such a gratifying feeling, like climbing this mountain that you weren't getting anywhere, and then all of a sudden you started gaining traction, but you climbed for 2 hours and realized that it was only a millimeter ahead, and then finally you start gaining traction. Then you get to the top of the mountain. Then the book is launched. Now you're exposed. Oh, yep. Man. There's no turning back now because it's like out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now take me through the process of this book, because didn't you hire a ghostwriter and then you just couldn't even deal with that anymore?
I went through everything. I hired a ghostwriter, paid all this money, and then it was a finished product. However, it wasn't a finished product that sounded anything like me. And there's like no disrespect. It's just, I'm known for being this person that just say it how it is and just put yourself out there. And I was reading it. I'm like, yo, I don't even talk like this, like at all. And I went back to the drawing board, and then I hired a developmental editor, and then it just didn't work. And then hired this person to do it, then hired another ghostwriter. I'm like, I don't know how people do this, because what I was told is a lot of authors do it. And I just couldn't do it. And then finally one day, I had a finished product, but I feel like something is missing. And that's when it hit me. One of the biggest components to my transformational change was just the fact that my relationship with God, just the spiritual context of how I live my life, but of course translated in my own way, wasn't anywhere in the book. I was trying to please every human without honoring my own truth. And I was like, wait a second, this is my book. And so once I took my power back and started writing from the Spirit, all of a sudden what was woven through all the pages is my relationship with God, but I wasn't trying to cookie cutter it. I was just putting it out the way that it is. You know, I love trap music, but I also love classical music, but I also go to church and I also pray every single night. And you're going to get that from the book. It's just like, man, this dude I love the way that he displays his authenticity. So that was the process of the book.
Absolutely. And I was telling everyone, this book is the most excited I've been for a book in a long time.
Really? Why?
So it all started when we met at the Penthouse Mastermind.
Okay.
And I heard your story, which we'll get into in a second. Your story is the craziest story I've ever heard in my life. But then when we first linked up outside of there at your house, we had the 6.5 hour conversation.
Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I go, man, this guy has some major depth to him. Where's his book?
Right.
And then you didn't have a book, but you said you were writing it at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we only had 6.5 hours to talk. And that's so funny because most people, I'll be like, okay, we had a 2 hour conversation. That's crazy. We had a 6.5 hour conversation and we had to leave because we had things to do. We could have kept talking.
Oh, all day long.
All day long.
And then we were just giving and receiving and giving like all day.
Yeah. So that's exactly why I was excited for this. Whoever did this cover art is an incredible artist.
It's a guy named Ark Nair, Indian guy, and he was just like, I've got to pray, and he was just such an interesting character. However, he's one of the few people in artistry that truly gets my soul. And we were going back and forth, and I was like, you know what? This is what I really want. I want a cover that somebody looks at it and it tells the entire journey of my transformation and their journey without me having to explain it at all. And a lot of book covers have the title explaining about the book. And I wanted something that was so like it literally challenges your mind to think, what is that? And then we got to the point where it was like, man, but if I put a title on it, it'll take away from what I wanted to create. And I was like, nah, I don't typically see a book with no title. That's why I'm going to make a book with no title and then put the title on the back. But it was crazy, man.
Now, did you originally plan on putting your name right here, or was it just going to be completely blank?
Well, I wanted to put the name there. Yeah, no, I always wanted to put the name there, and but I just wanted to have the, I wanted to have just that art right there, because I'm a visual artist. I love to paint, I love to watercolor, draw, and things like that. And it just to respect the art, I didn't want to put anything on that, so that was like its foundation. Garrain's the foundation of the art that was created.